Let me show you.
Okay, go ahead, Timothy. Yeah.
Show me the product. Let's show the screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Thank you very much. So I'm very happy that today I have such opportunity to introduce the Apache DolphinScheduler and 3.1 new features updates. And my name is Timothy. So I'm very happy and very honored to represent our open source community of one of the toppest and hottest projects in China. Yeah, and so the first it's about the agenda. So the four agendas we have. So we have the challenge of the big data workflow orchestration, and also the new features that I want to present, and also some tools comparison with other popular tools in the open source community, and also the final I will introduce some great users that have very long-term relationship with this software and the long-term usage of this software. So at very first, we have four main categories that is the challenge of the workflow orchestration. So the first is the machine learning field that we have that we can how to manage the data pipeline, that because you know that the MLOps, there's an end-to-end process which which include the data collecting, cleaning, and a large amount of data storing, and also the prediction and training. And also we want to find a solution that how to ensure the scaling for production environment. Sometimes we need tons of graphic card machines to do the large scale machine learnings, and also for data streaming. And how to engage, have a better engagement with the real-time jobs management, and also we have how to solve the difficulties that integrate the real-time data and the batch data integration. And third category is the access code. That means it's not only to use the graphic UI to create and manage the pipeline. We have to make it something like use the code, use some script that can represent the pipeline, represent the workflows. And finally, about the cloud native. That means how to transfer the DolphinScheduler to the modern deployment automations. Use the cloud native way to do the automation deployment, automation recovery, healthy check, something like that. And also we want to have to take a look to see how to use the cloud native way to use and manage tools itself. Okay, so before we dive into the new features, I want to spend a very short time to speak to tell about the previously 2.x version of the DolphinScheduler. As you know, the 2.x version is also a very successful very successful products that being used for many great users in China. And first, we have a drag and drop to create workflows that we can lower down the technology requirement and let the people with less the coding experience to use that. And also we have a DAG graph runtime management, and also we have an open API to support. That means you can use the API to create a workflow, to run a workflow, and also to stop a workflow, and also to get the workflow information. So better integration with other system in your company. And the next is high reliability. We are decentralized. We have multi-masters, multi-workers. That means that because these DolphinScheduler it's controlled by the zookeeper that uses Jupyter to do the self-registration, to do the multiple masters and workers. So that means that is the reason we have a high performance. One of the customers have 1 million plus tasks in production environment, because this tool can easily scale out and scale in a very easy way. And so you can add as much task as you can to support some usage, big data usage, or machine learning usage. So it's definitely a high reliability. If one worker down, master down, you can recreate a task we create the workflow in another node. And third one's rich workflow functions that we support. You can pause and resume any sub workflow in one workflow, and also the entire workflow. And also we are native support the projects multi-tenant, and we have a 30+ task type. But this is one of the major benefits that you can find almost I think 90% of the common use big data processing and the machine learning processing in the open community. And so we are now supporting to 2.0, 2.x. We support the cloud native extensions. So about the 3.1 new features, I have four categories that from the machine learning that we introduce some of the integration of third parties, and also we support the real time like FLINK Spark streaming and the data streaming management, and we can use the Python YAML workflow to support. And finally, the Kubernetes support use the operators. We do have the operators can install into the installation, and we can run the Kubernetes tasks. Okay. So about the machine learning orchestration that the machine learning orchestration, its main function is to connect the model construction team with the business, the operation, the maintenance team, and establish standardized model development, and operation. So it can meet different needs. So what do we do is about we solve the problem that raise the efficiency of the machine learning life cycles. You can add some pre-work, the data processing, and the modern training, and also deployment, and finally the quality of machine learning, then retrain, then redeploy. So this is a kind of a very comprehensive but very standard life cycle throughout the machine learning fields. And also we are able to connect the other system because there's a multiple way, the variety of solutions tools you can choose in the open source community, and also in some public cloud providers. So this is very important for some big user scenarios. So from the five category, from data management to the model management, we support the task plugs in, and also so for the task plug in the Jupyter, so you can schedule some data analysis notebook. You can write your own Jupyter notebook and add it to one task, one subtask of the workflows. And for the ML flow is open source tools. You can have a building algorithm or model machine learning and deploying machine learning models. About the OpenML database and DVC is the third party you can download. You can store your data for machine learning, even the model, even the training data. And the SegMaker is one of the best machine learning tools by Amazon AWS. So we can schedule the SegMaker pipeline to connect to the upstreaming big data, set down some downstream tasks. And finally is the Pytorch. Pytorch is a tool by Meta, previous Facebook. So it's very popular machine learning library. So you can do some coding for your own training task, and it's also support the Git basis. Now let's jump into the ML flows that we spent a very easy example that can show how it works. So for the ML flows, you can choose the server, the tracking server. I think the ML flow models, and you can choose the deployment flows and the port, and also you can choose the environment like Conda. Conda is a private, it's a private Python environment, and you can have no interference with others. So you can choose your own Conda environment, and then to do the central model registration. So about the OpenMLDB. OpenMLDB, you could the developer can set the path, set the zookeeper address to fetch the data. What I want to mention is that this place you can input some SQL statement. That means you can do some pre data processing for your training features. Sometimes we have very large database. Some of the features is useless, or maybe it's not useful with some of the requirements. So you can do a very simple SQL statement to narrow down the data and to give the best the feature as possible as we can to provide the database for data for training. And the next one is the Jupyter Notebook, and it's very popular tools for the data engine and also the algorithm developer for data scientists. And for the Jupyter book, first you can prepare our typical Jupyter notebook, and you can see here it's a short example that use the ML flow and the pandas. Use the pandas to do some data works and use the ML flow to do the training jobs. And you can see from the left side, there are 4 parameters like experience name, like the C value, the kernel value, model name. So this means these can be injectable. These parameters can be injectable. So from the right side is the DolphinScheduler. As you can. This is one of the tasks in the DolphinScheduler UI. You can input a name, input the node path of the Jupyter Notebook file name, and also you can set the parameters. So that means if I don't do this scripting for Jupyter book, but I can very easy to use the Jupyter book by some others. If he gives enough parameters, I can run this. And also I want to mention you can rely on the previous job that before or after the Jupyter notebooks. I think the same as the DVC. The DVC is also the same with the MLDB, and you can choose some environment, and also the DVC you can input your Git address to get Git address and the data path of the Git address, and also the version, to get the data for the training. Okay, for the SegMaker is the tools by the Amazon AWS, and after the config, and then you can running the SegMaker job that SegMaker job to set the JSON parameters. You can see you can set the SegMaker the processing instance type. This is typical EC2 instance type, and also some process instance count. So let's continue to the SegMakers. You can see from the left side is DolphinScheduler UI. We have a separated the task that is represented to the SegMaker in the right side. You can see there's one step, and also the SegMaker have some several sub workflow in the SegMakers. I think this scenario is very typical in some of the largest company in China. I remember that there's one of the biggest real estate company. They're very rich, and they have several AI training tasks, and they provided by several public cloud. They not only use the Amazon SegMaker, they also use the actual which is owned by Microsoft, and also Alibaba Cloud, and also IBM Cloud. And because you don't want to buy lots of graphic card on the on-premise environment, they just connect to different cloud providers. So that means he has to use a centralized tool to call the machine learning, the products or tools, or even the API services by the different public cloud providers. So this is very useful for the company such a large company like that. And also after they finish the training, they can easily cycle that the delete and cycle that resources. That's kind of the money saver. So about the PyTorch, I just mentioned before, the PyTorch is very popular tools in the open source by the Meta, and you can see this is another example. So you can reuse some others the code without use your IDE, without edit the code. You can see first you choose the kernel environment that was separate and have no interference with others, and also you can set up the requirements. That means you can install your own or your preferred the Python library by editing the requirements, and also you can choose the Python version, and on the right side the entry function of the main function, and also the GitHub address. So it's very convenient, and you can put the PyTorch in any place of the workflow. And finally, it's about deployment. The deployment. So we use the ML flow to do the deployments after some the data truths, the parameter setting, and also the tracking server. And you can use the URL to do the data predictions of your own models. Okay, so I have a little summarize for the ML orchestration. So currently we support SegMaker, MLflow, the Jupyter, and the DVC, the PyTorch, but in the future we are going to support something like TensorFlow and also the Kubeflow. I want to have a little comments about Kubeflow. Kubeflow is a cloud native. MLOps by Google. So this is natively multi nodes, multi workers, multi-tasks. So it's a typical cloud native algorithm tools. Yeah. So about the existing features, we just support different language. You can put not only Python, you can put the Shell, the Java, and even some Scala in the existing ones. And also we are project levels. We're a project level. We support the multi-tenancies, and we can run the job and the pipeline on demand and scarce. And also the framework library is independent. They use the separate folders. There's the separate workers, and you can parallelize the pipeline executions. As you can see, you can input some parameters by yourself that according to some Jupyter notebook, and also we can retry the failing task in the workflows and even in the sub workflows. So in the future, we are going to support. We underdeveloped to support the rerun changes, automatic scaling, and to do the schema definition about task input and output, and also the dynamic span of the DAG, and also the ML task that I mentioned. ML task on run on Kubernetes is something like the Kubernetes, the Kubeflow. It can implement such requirements. Okay. So let's jump into the next features about real-time and batch job togethers. That means if you have the FLINK job, a real-time job over 100, it's very difficult to maintain that. But about the DolphinScheduler, we can use some project. We can use the DAG to manage huge real-time jobs. Based on my experience, I have a big data project that can use the DolphinScheduler to implement about 200 FLINK streaming walk for one big data clusters, and it's very easy and very good management, because you can use your project. Different teams have different projects, and one project we can separate the different workflows and DAGs. Okay, So we are solve the data pipeline, the real time, the batch time, the gathers. That means you can continuously running real time job and you running batch job before or after that. And also we have a hard the data qualities. We have a soft data quality controls. Yeah. So you can see the correction between the collaboration between the task and the DAGs. So we can support that. I can tell you examples. There's one commercial tools in China which is developed by some of biggest biggest IT company like Huawei, and he has tools, commercial tools. You have to pay that. So it did not have such function that integrate this real-time data and batch data together. So you have one page. You can you just to create the real-time job, and another web page to create the batch job. There's no connection. There's no such DAG for that tools. Okay. So about the FLINK job, the DolphinScheduler is very professional to support a fully parameterable for FLINK jobs. You can choose the main program, the deployment. You can write your script, choose the FLINK version, tasker, the memory number of slots, and task manager, and also the parallelism, the main program parameters. So you can choose a variety of parameters to buy the very easy UI. So this is, I think this is very similar, and even exist compare with some commercial products. It's very professional UIs. And also, I just want to mention, you can see in the right side, we have some SQL statement. That means we are fully support and FLINK SQL functions. This is very useful. As you know, the FLINK is FLINK is one of the biggest contributors company of FLINK is Alibaba, and now Alibaba's they just present our concept that in the futures, no matter the streaming or the batch, they're all using the SQL to do that. So it's very convenient. You can put the SQL here to lower down the development difficulties, and also to have a lot of settings there. You can put lots of settings here to do the FLINK circle streaming and even the batch. I think the same as the Spark job. We have you can choose the Spark version, the main package name, also the memory, the executors, and I think the Spark job we support many. I think it's many years ago. I think DolphinScheduler fully support the Spark. So you can see the Spark SQL. You can also run the Spark SQL to do the Spark batch process. Okay, let's about third category is about the access code. Right now we support the Python. You can use some of the machine learning developer, and also they like to use the Python. So you can write your Python codes here. And also we have YAML. We support YAML. You can see the process name, the schedule, the time, and also you can define the task. I want to mention a little bit more about a little bit more about this page, is because if you just write every pipeline by using the YAML Python, it's very good to initiate the GitOps for the DolphinScheduler task. That I mean that is I mean that if you are a software vendors, you deploy the DolphinScheduler to a variety of customers, and when the deployment, you can use your Git to store these things in your Git repos, and you can fetch from the Git repos. That means you can write some automation scripts. You can recover the whole environment with the contents, with lots of workflows in a flash way. So this is kind of the property management. You can code everything into into the some scripts, some YAML, and then store in the Git, and then deploy to a lot of different kinds of projects. And even if you can parameter things like this, time, scheduler, maybe the tenants, that means you can parameterable, and you can to incorporate with the different kinds of customers' requirements without adding the base repo codes. Yes, very so. I think this kind of little improvement that can bring more confidence to some big companies, some big vendors. Okay, the first category is about Kubernetes integration. I think the left side, I just don't want to mention more, is because it's the typical diagrams of the Dolphin schedule. I won't mention the right side. You can see the right side. We can use the API server to connect to Kubernetes. We can support the FLINK Kubernetes and Smart Kubernetes, and all these two is powered by the Google Cloud. So you can run a lot of jobs if your company have existing Kubernetes clusters, so you can run the jobs with different version. So I think the Smart and FLINK, the benefits that you can support different version in one clusters, and it's resource independent. We have no interference, and also we are multi-tenant, so you can connect as many as the Kubernetes cluster as you can. So it's very easy. So you put the Kubernetes config, you just name the Kubernetes clusters, and also as we test before, we support the EKS of the Amazon AWS, so you can add your class and run the job. And then you can set the namespace quotation for the CPU and memory, some owners that to protect the resources, to set the limitation of the namespace, and then this means you set limitation to dedicated workloads. Okay, so I think the final part of the Kubernetes ecology, which is in one of my InfoQ articles. So if your company is already cloud native, implement cloud native solutions, and it's very easy to use to integrate into the GitOps, because we have Helm chart of and also the operator. You can choose Helm chart or operator, whatever you want, to deploy the Dolphin scheduler instance in a very short way. You can see after your deployment, you can fully usage of auto scaling. You can see this is scaling up by the Kubernetes itself. It's very easy. You just change the replica count, and the stateful set job will doing the scale out and scale in. And also, and in the standard Helm chart, we have a health probe that can do the health check by the Kubernetes itself. If the resource, like the pods, is not healthy, it can restart the pods or even protect the pods. So it's a live this probe and read this probe. And finally, this can be managed by LinkD. LinkD is I think one of the graduate project in CNCF. You can use the APM, the HTTP matrix, to analyze and monitoring the performance, the API performance of the Dolphin scheduler. So it's native support Kubernetes ecology. Oh, and also I forget to mention about the FluentB can automatically collect all the Dolphin scheduler loggers to the Elasticsearch without any other additional coding. It's just a script, just some config can solve these problems. Okay, so let's say some of the roadmap. So we continuously to improve our software to to build the IDE. You can do live in programs by using the Dolphin scheduler, and we want to add some more machine learning ops operators, real-time tasker, and also to provide more AWS support, and also the API and the YAML as a code. Let's spend very little time about the tools compression that would compare with some of the best workflow orchestration in the open source. I want to mention some of the points. First is the additional high availability requirements that we are native supported actually by using the zookeepers, but the Azkabans rely on the database, and also the Airflow supported also they rely on some database. And even I want to mention too that even DolphinScheduler is crashed. If your database are still there, you can recover. You don't have to do anything. You just deploy some Java programs or maybe the parts, and everything will back to normal. Yeah, this is our test scenario. And also we overload the processing, which I mentioned before, can support 1 million plus for one companies in the production environment. And also we have a variety of ways of the way to create workflows. We can use UI, we can use the code, and some Azkaban they have a UI, but they cannot use UI to drag and drop to create some workflows and even the airflows. So about the quick deployment that I say, you can use Herb to deploy even just in one click. You don't have to change anything to do some sandbox. But Azkaban have complex deployment. It's not officially have some Kubernetes deployment tools, but we are now supporting operators and Helm chart. And also about the data qualities. Yes, we can stop the workflow if the quality rules are broken, and we can resume later. And Azkaban, the Airflow without this kind of convenience tools. About the pause, and I just talked earlier, we can stop even the subflow, but the Airflow cannot. You can only kill the workflow first and then rerun. About the multi-tenancy, these kind of two things don't have multi-tenancies. So we are native project-based, multi-user space, the multi-tenant spaces. About the task types, yeah, we support 80-90% of the big data processing, machine learning processing, as you can see, and even some traditional like share, like API, like some HiveQL and MR tasks. Okay, so I just want this supportable full version is very useful tools. That means if you create a workflow, then add it to a workflow, then do some change requests, then we submit the workflows, we can automatically record the tag, generate a tag. That means we can support the versioning of your workflow task. Okay, so about so this part of finally we talk about the real-time job. Someone will say the Azkaban and Airflow will use some CLI to do the real-time job, but you know, the DolphinScheduler, we have a professional UI that can help you to very easy to running the real-time job and also integrate with some batch time jobs. Okay, so this is final parts of it. For some of the great users, you can see the IBM, the Tens, and Cisco. Cisco have some Kubernetes initiative for the usage for the DolphinScheduler, and also some of the telecom providers, biggest telecom providers, and also the biggest commercial bank in China, and also I heard some company use the DolphinScheduler to do some vendor support to support as many customers as they can. And also we have some big use case like the China Unicom, one of the 3 major and the biggest telecom providers. We meet their business schedule and function needs and the large data volume requirements and make the lower the cost down. About Shein, it's our online e-commercial company in South China, and but their customers are worldwide. So it's so they use some cloud deployments, use some AWS deployments, or use the Kubernetes support the circuit makers. So we decentralize to ensure the stability and easy to data, and also about the least FM. So we have low code IDE to solve the massive big data task by efficiently computing and some useful ML process. And also you can see some others, partners, users throughout China. Okay, so finally, welcome to join us. You can visit our website and raise some PR and have some discussion with the GitHub. You can write email with and also have raise some questions in Slack. And there's some demo videos you can use to YouTube to check. And you can see right now, I think from this year, 2023, so we are stars about above 10K. Is a significant step for the communities. And finally, you can use a very short command line to start up our sandbox for DolphinScheduler standalone server. You can log in, have UI, very easy way if you have the CE installed. So that's all for today. Thanks very much. Back to you, Visha.